You'll notice he no longer suffers delusions of humanity.
Affirmative.
Sir, listen, I'm gonna make this clear. I'm in no way, shape, or form involved in any negative. You understand?
Has editing your content become a burden, or you just don't have the skill set?
I wish I could focus on content production, but post-editing takes so much time and effort.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
We'll look no further. Here at Asylum 99 Studios, I can help you create professional quality videos that will be sure to captivate viewers. With my creativity and skill, along with your content, assets, and ideas, I can bring your vision into the simulation. I offer the following services: video clipping and organization, content creation, VFX, SFX, and motion graphics, intro and outro assets. Requests may be taken upon further discussion. So if you're a content creator, short on time because you're out living your best life, or you wish you could focus all your energy into producing content, reach out to Asylum 99 Studios today.
What are you waiting for?
What am I waiting for? What am I waiting for?
Don't settle for mediocre videos. Hire me as your freelance video editor and create videos that meet your standards. Asylum 99 Studios. Release your creativity.
What's going on, kinfolk? Today, I got some tomfoolery to share with you guys. So, these Marxist ninjas down in good old Louisiana are crying because the big bad white man is moving out.
Pussy ass nigga!
Yes, the same ninjas and bleeding heart liberals that do all that complaining about racism and systematic racism and police brutality and this and that. You can't win when you're dealing with the modern ninja and the modern liberal. You can't win at all. Right? If y'all had y'all brains wired correctly, y'all see this as a chance to improve yourselves and come up. But if I know ninjas, and I think I do, y'all gonna fumble this too.
No, but you wouldn't listen. Well, you stupid fuck. Look at you now.
So let's go ahead and get to the first article from none other than Joyless Reed's section of MSNBC. A largely white Louisiana enclave gets the go-ahead to secede and form its own city, by Jahan Jones. Now, as we're getting into this beginning of the article, I want you to pay attention to who's doing the complaining. Jahan Jones.
Pussy ass nigga!
Conservatives are trying to make secession a thing again. Last week in Louisiana, the state Supreme Court paved the way for a largely white enclave within Baton Rouge to break off and form its own city, which will be named St. George. The push to cleave off this part of Baton Rouge from its less affluent and more diverse surrounding areas has been years in the making. It started in 2012 when a group led by white conservatives claimed that they needed a separate school district based on claims that crime and poor school quality meant their tax dollars weren't being used properly. When that effort failed, the right-wing activists tried to form a new city instead. After a long legal battle, the Louisiana Supreme Court finally approved the plan. The court ruling was denounced by critics in Baton Rouge, who have long warned that the new city could deprive nearby communities of revenue needed to run local services. Opponents are asking the state Supreme Court for another hearing on the matter. See, one thing that you ninjas need to stop doing is stop trying to wield Stop trying to wield your victimhood as a double-edged sword. What I mean by that is, don't use your victimhood to get on top of people, pause, and then turn around and use it to frame them as victims and colonizers. And you ninjas know what I'm talking about. Don't do that, okay? You said you wanted Mr. Charlie and the gang gone. Mr. Charlie and the gang is skedaddling out of the predominantly indigenous city of Baton Rouge. You niggas are a piece of work. And let's get another thing clear. Since it's a ninja, Jahan Jones, that wrote this article. Hope you see this. You Negroes and you people need to understand that your ancestors had nothing to do with no goddamn democracy. That is a foreign concept to these lands. Do you understand? I came over here with them chimney sweepers. Do you understand? And those people.
Hey, I'm not going to say what race, what people. I can't say that.
Who I'm not going to say. This is the Republic. Some call it the Constitutional Republic. It ain't operating that way right now, but this is the Republic. Okay? We're going to leave it at the Republic for now. It's the Republic. And all of y'all ancestors, for all you blue voting, chicken nugget munching, fish fry with the Democrats having ninjas, they all turned over in their graves. All of them. Looking down on you disgraceful Negroes and you people.
Hate you black bastards. You stink.
St. George proponents previously have floated ideas such as eliminating Baton Rouge's public transit system to provide money for subsidizing Uber and Lyft drivers. In other words, this new city appears to fit squarely within conservatives' agenda of privatization and public divestment. And secession plans like these seem to have increased in recent decades. A conservative-led plan to cleave the largely white neighborhood of Buckhead from Atlanta was quashed last year. A study found that several successful efforts by largely white areas to form their own independent school districts had worsened school segregation in Alabama, Tennessee, and Louisiana. It's hard to see these plans as anything but efforts to divest money and other resources from communities that embody the project of multiracial democracy and to instead establish white-dominated fiefdoms with equal or likely more power. Now, I disagree, but not for the same reasons as these ninjas, you see. I don't have a problem with Mr. Charlie and the gang getting together and making their own stuff. My problem with Mr. Charlie and the gang is if they ain't got that O positive in them, or the variants, why ain't y'all congregating y'all asses back to La France? You know what I'm saying? That's my problem. But outside of that, cool. Go off and form your own neighborhood. I seceded from the community a long time ago. Fuck you. You Negroes and you people are crazy. If I lived in Buckhead, Georgia, I would want to separate from Hotlanta too.
I declare Atlanta free nation.
Who the hell wants to be a part of that? And if you from Atlanta, you feel some type of way, hey bro, I don't care. That's y'all dumpster fire to deal with. You understand? Louisiana allows predominantly white area to form new city, sparking segregation concerns. Talk about segregation for a second, shall we? See, before Martin Luther King and his crew came around.
And so, brothers and sisters, you know why.
Hey, shut the hell up, you black son bitch. What's wrong with y'all?
It ruined everything. I know they're heroes to you niggas, but listen up. Right? Segregation, in my opinion, based on my research, and I don't just mean researching books, I mean looking back through my familial records, my family records and genealogy, segregation was the best thing niggas had going. And you NAACP, boule ninjas had to come stick y'all noses in shit.
You're lazy, good-for-nothing tricksters.
We had our own restaurants, bus lines, towns that got flooded out. We'll do a video on that eventually. There's already people who've done good work on that out there. People such as Cody Mayo, Dan Calloway, etc. And you already know Chief Red Wolf covered that all the time. We reading the Negro Project right now. So, you got that. But to me, that was the best thing we had going. It's no coincidence that we were doing better back then. Like, you niggas like to run around and talk about Negro Wall Street, Black Wall Street, Black Wall Street. We built it because we were the only ones there until we got bombed out, etc. Y'all know the story. But what y'all don't know is that it wasn't Africans that built that area. It was indigenous Americans. We built the whole damn country coast to coast. Okay. All that y'all came here and ninjas was in teepees, slander. Y'all came here to these Roman style buildings, or excuse me, Tartarian style buildings. You raggedy motherfuckers throwing pee and poop out the wall, out the window, onto the streets of New York. Shut y'all ass up. Just cause I'm out here taking half your side don't mean y'all ain't got some strays coming your way. East Baton Rouge Parish, Louisiana. The Louisiana Supreme Court ruled Friday a predominantly white area can form a new city separate from Baton Rouge, sparking concerns of segregation. The city of St. George will form after a roughly 6-year effort organizers undertook that resulted in what they believe will now be an improved government. This is a historical and exciting day for the city of St. George citizens, St. George Transition District Chairman Norman Browning posted on Facebook. I look forward to our ability to build an efficient, productive, and vibrant city while contributing to a thriving East Baton Rouge parish. Friday's decision overturned lower court's rulings concluding St. George would not be able to provide public services within a reasonable amount of time and decided its incorporation was reasonable. Andrew Murrell, an organizer of the city, argued the ruling was the culmination of Louisiana residents exercising their constitutional rights. I don't blame them for leaving once again. How can you be productive with NBA young boys spinning the block? How can you feel safe in your community with Boozy and them spinning the block? Baton Rouge is so bad, Boozy don't live there. NBA young boy don't live there. But y'all mad at Mr. White Man, Mr. Charlie and them for leaving. Disgraceful. Pathetic. Let's continue. Baton Rouge Mayor President Sharon Weston Broome opposed St. George's creation, citing financial consequences for her city's residents, 47% of whom prior to the split were indigenous. When potential tax increases were threats to basic services that affect our citizens' quality of life are at stake, it's crucial that we proceed with careful consideration, Broome noted. The populations of Old Jefferson, Shenandoah, and Enniswood, all East Baton Rouge Parish neighborhoods which will be included in St. George, are each at least 55% white, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. The NAACP Baton Rouge branch expressed concern over potential segregation and the unequal distribution of parish resources, as well as consequences for Baton Rouge's education system. I'm gonna come out and say this, and I'm gonna say to hell with the ninja population of Baton Rouge, and you know why? And I said ninjas. I didn't say upstanding American brothers and sisters. I ain't talking about y'all. I'm talking about these ninjas, and y'all know what I mean.
Hate you black bastards. You stink.
To hell with these ninjas. Y'all should have thought about this. Y'all should have thought about your community when you was kicking your grandpappy in them about the house they built and destroying the community. Yes, I'm laying the blame at y'all feet. So-called sisters.
Y'all crazy black women.
I ain't talking to all y'all, but the ones that I'm talking to, y'all know who y'all are. Because y'all seething right now at me saying this. You know why Baton Rouge ain't shit? Because ain't no men there to build the shit, because y'all chased them out. You mammies. A state house bill granting any public school system the same treatment and authority given to parishes also raised alarms with the NAACP due to its potential impact on students and staff. We stand ready to collaborate with you to ensure that the interests of our students are protected and that they continue to have access to excellent education they deserve, regardless of any changes in municipal boundaries, the organization wrote. Ah, yes. The NAACP, or as I like to call them, niggas all about causing problems.
Cause if it was up to me, I'd unleash the hound and turn y'all niggas into puppet child.
Trademark. That's my shit. Anyway, these ninjas are at the source of your problems. And I'm talking to you of the so-called community. Because they led you sheep out into the middle of this green pasture with all these archers around to take you out.
What's wrong with y'all niggas? What's wrong with you?
And y'all went willingly. And you went with your hooves out. Please, sir, can I have some Section 8? Please, sir, can I have some welfare? Please, sir, can I have some EBT? Please, sir, can I have a bus pass? Please, sir, free bus care. Please, sir, free child care. And the list goes on and on. When, if you was doing your motherfucking job, stayed in your motherfucking lane, you wouldn't have to go to Mr. Charlie and them for your shit.
But it's your weak mind, baby, that gets you into trouble.
But y'all wanted to listen to these niggas. And now look where it's got us. The laughing stock of the whole dome. And I don't like it. Black is to be dead. And that's all I see when I look at most of this community is a bunch of dead ninjas. White residents of Baton Rouge, Louisiana to form separate city in move termed neo-segregationist. So before we even get into the article, let's tackle this term, neo-segregationist. There's nothing wrong with segregation.
How could this have happened? A black white supremacist.
Okay? Y'all don't say nothing to the Chinese when they segregate. Y'all don't say nothing to the Hindustanis when they segregate. Y'all don't say nothing to the people that I'm
not gonna say what race, what people, I can't say that.
When they segregate. Y'all don't say nothing to nobody else. But y'all coming up after Mr. Charlie. Why? Because you want their resources.
What? Oh God, no!
What kind of parasitic, belly crawling, low life method of living is that? We're gonna go ahead and move on with the article. But y'all need to stop trying to label these things. They'll label you racist, neo-segregationist, Nazi, January 6er. The list goes on and on, man. Can't y'all see the agenda yet? All those Civil War movies that they just came out with. Y'all seen it yet? Instead of worrying about what Mr. Charlie and them is doing, you need to be segregating your damn self. The state Supreme Court in the southern U.S. state of Louisiana on April 26 gave the city of St. George the right to secede from the larger capital city of Baton Rouge. This has cleared the way for a group of wealthy white Baton Rouge residents to carve out a majority white enclave of the largely indigenous city, recalling the history in the U.S. of segregation and white flight. Wealthy white residents of Baton Rouge have been trying to secede from the rest of the city in some shape or form for over a decade. In 2012, a group of parents went to the state legislature to propose the creation of a separate school district which they called the Southeast Community School District. This effort failed, but the following year they tried once again and also failed. After these defeats, they began to adopt a new strategy, form an entirely separate city. This would ensure their children would not attend school with the rest of the Baton Rouge community. This strategy went through several failed attempts for years until this, when the state Supreme Court finally ruled in favor of carving out the majority white enclave of St. George into a separate city. St. George was born from the effort to create a local independent school district in the southeastern part of East Baton Rouge Parish, states the website of the newly incorporated city of St. George. We have witnessed the further decline of our public school system, skyrocketing murder and crime rates, further decay of our parish infrastructure, unprecedented exodus of our friends and families from the parish, and a complete lack of trust in our city parish leadership. So, for a minute, we're going to suspend this being my ancestral soil for just a second. Hear me out. How is it a land grab and a money grab if A, the cash coming into your municipality belongs to them, and 2, they live in the area that they cut off? They didn't go snatch any land as far as I've read in these articles. They're just drawing a border. And if you cared so much about your so-called wealthy residents, wouldn't you want to heed their calls and meet their needs instead of pandering to panhandlers on the streets of Baton Rouge? And by panhandlers, I mean those standing outside the welfare office. Resegregation. Laramie Griffin, a lifelong resident of Baton Rouge and community organizer, calls the St. George split neo-segregation. This is essentially a land grab, a money grab that will decimate the city of Baton Rouge, Griffin said. It is estimated that Baton Rouge will lose around $480 million tax revenue that wealthy St. George residents would have otherwise brought into the city. Griffin mentioned cities such as Zachary and Baker, where wealthy white residents also chose to separate their school districts from the larger East Baton Rouge Parish School District. The schools of Baton Rouge operated under a desegregation order as a result of the 1956 Brown v. Board of Education Supreme Court ruling, which established that segregation of public schools was unconstitutional. The ruling was viewed as a major victory of the civil rights movement. Baton Rouge was subjected to such an order longer than any school district in the country, which was finally lifted in 2003. The school district is now 81% indigenous and 89% of the students are not white. The St. George split would effectively recreate a segregated school system, turning the social clock back to before the victories of the civil rights movement. Let's be clear. One more time in case you didn't hear me when I said this earlier. The civil rights movement was not a victory. There were no victories in the civil rights movement. The civil rights movement, which led to the Indian Civil Rights Act of 1968. The Indian Civil Rights Act of 1968. It's called that for a reason. All that was giving up everything you had that was passed down to you from time immemorial so that you could be a U.S. citizen. I want to ride the white bus. I want to drink out the white people's water fountain. I want what they got. Which is kind of understandable because everybody wanted what we had for so long. But the difference is, you shouldn't have gave up your stuff because these people have nothing to give you but they ass to kiss. And y'all got y'all lips puckered. The St. George plan poses significant risks to our education system, threatens the continuity of our critical programs, and challenges community representation, writes Baton Rouge chapter of the NAACP. The creation of a new municipality introduces considerable uncertainty around funding allocation for our schools, jeopardizing the cornerstone of our community's future, education. This is not the first time wealthy white residents in the U.S. South have successfully split off from larger cities to form independent school districts. Similar efforts in Alabama, Tennessee, and Louisiana have proven to lead more segregation in schools. Opponents of the split within the Baton Rouge argue that the split, like many other historical examples of white flight, would deprive the city of tax revenue generated by its wealthy residents. The effects of white flight historically are felt throughout the country, including the various water crises in the Mississippi capital of Jackson. After schools in Jackson were desegregated in the 70s and 80s, white residents left the city en masse. By 1990, although Jackson's population grew to 196,637, the city was only 44% white, a decrease of about 6,000 white residents. Their departure meant a significant decrease in public funding as they constituted a large portion of the wealthy tax base, because white people are historically more well off than the descendants of indigenous Americans in the U.S. who suffer from systemic and structural racism and discrimination in regions across the country. In the U.S. South, where labor legislation is particularly weak and union density is low, indigenous workers are also super exploited and underpaid. In Jackson, the decrease in funding for public services ultimately results in a broken water system, leaving the city without drinkable water in several rounds of crisis. Cementing historic inequality. Griffin founded a nonprofit organization called Evolve Louisiana, which in part pledges to rebuild impoverished communities. Griffin denounced the organizers of St. George Split for wanting to move away from what wealthy white residents labeled as high crime rates rather than give back to their communities. If you live here in the capital city and have a problem, wouldn't you want to fix it? Do what we call preventative care to prevent these things from happening? Rather than use their tax dollars to provide housing or other social services to prevent crimes, Griffin denounces St. George residents for wanting to separate themselves. Baton Rouge does have higher crime rates than the rest of the nation. However, with the elimination of major source of funding for the city's public services in the form of taxes, crimes could only get worse. As research has proven the links between poverty, few economic opportunities, and crime, the median household income of Baton Rouge was $50,155 between 2018 and 2022. Far lower than the national MHI of $74,580. It is absolutely insane to me how you think you hold the moral high ground telling somebody to stay in a crime-ridden area. It is not those people's fault, as far as I know, individually. The presence of their people, sure, but as these people as individuals, it is not their fault that the block is being spun and the dope is being pushed. You can take that up with your CIA overlords. For many years, Baton Rouge has been plagued by race-based income equality, with indigenous households seeing some of the lowest earnings. The poverty rate of Baton Rouge is 15.3%, higher than the national average of 12.6%. The most common racial grouping living below the poverty line is indigenous. Income inequality in East Baton Rouge Parish, the larger governing body which contains Baton Rouge, has been steadily rising for the past decade. Well, there you have it. And if you ask me, it's an embarrassment. You ninjas are a disgrace. You know, aren't y'all embarrassed by looking like the global panhandlers and beggars? Don't you want to do things for yourself? How could you take pride in something if Mr. Charlie and them gave it to you? When in the beginning, you gave Mr. Charlie and them everything they had. Have some pride in your blood. Reach down in your records, in your bloodline. Pull out the greatness and see what greatness lies back up your tree and try to live up to that standard. Because this that y'all got going around, all this chaos and crying and whining and trying to overcome your damn self, needs to come to an end. There is something wrong with you people. And that something is, you're lazy. You don't know who you are. Therefore, you have no purpose in this world other than to be a consumer slave and to be exterminated by your overlords. So with that, I want y'all to like, share, and subscribe this, and we're gonna get up out of here. Peace.
And why don't you share with the rest of us what you just said to me, you piece of shit, spray-spreading nigger?
You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. So say good night to the bad guy. Go on.
I am a human being. I exist.
Delusions, Mr. Wordsworth. Delusions.
Send the word.